Okay, so welcome to the video. One of the things I want to do is sort of uh, talk about a ratio that I like to do, and I've not seen this in any of the literature about doing ratios. And how I often like to think about things is how does this compare to how I would look at my own personal financial situation? Okay, so for instance, in personal finance uh, we're often taught, you need to have some emergency fund on hand. So, would you anticipate you could be out of work for 6 months or a year ever? And so plan accordingly, right? So, if a person has $5,000 a month in household operating expense, then having a year of emergency fund would be $60,000 because that's 5,000 times 12 months. Okay. So you would need at least that, maybe even a little bit more. Okay. So I tend to look at companies in a similar fashion. And so if I look at Costco, right, how would I do this? All right. So if we go to their financials, um, I have written down a few numbers here that I'm going to use. All right. So on the income statement, I'm looking for operating expenses, which is this line right here. And I'm looking at 2024. Their financial year ended on August 31st, 2024. Their total annual operating expenses was 22,810. Okay. So that's actually 22 billion. Okay. Because these numbers have uh three, you have to add three zeros to them because they're in thousands. Okay. So actually $22 billion in operating expense. Okay, now, so for a monthly number, right? You could take that number, divide by 12, you will come up with 1900833. Okay. So basically almost getting close to $2 billion a month. Okay. All right. Now, the other number we need is over on the cash flow. The cash flow, they actually calculate free cash flow for us. All right. So free cash flow is that money that a company has on hand. They don't call it an emergency fund, right? But we could think of it in a similar way. Okay. So that free cash flow, the company can do anything with that money. They can hold it for a rainy day, right? And that's exactly what an emergency fund is. If you apply that to your own personal financial picture. Okay. Now they can do other things. They can invest in infrastructure in their company. They can build manufacturing facilities. They can do all kinds of things with that money. They can pay people more. They could do all kinds of things with it. But we'll think of free cash flow as being their emergency fund. Okay. So in uh, August of 2024, they had 6,629,000. Okay. So their free cash flow is not as big as their operating expenses are. Okay. So you remember the number back on the income statement. They had 22,810,000 as their operating expenses. We divided that by 12. We came up with 1900833. So almost $2 billion in operating expenses. So if we divide that 1900833 into this number, the 6,629,000, basically you come up with 3.487. And that represents how many months they could last if they had $0 coming in for revenue. Okay. Now that is likely not to happen, but a company can have a severe slowdown. That can happen. COVID caused that to happen for a lot of companies, right? So with that basically means that about 3.5 months, they could last 3.5 months um, as a worst case scenario. All right. So in your worksheet, there is a place where you can put these numbers and calculate how many months the company would last without revenue coming in with the worst case scenario. Okay. So kind of this idea of an emergency fund, how long would they last, just like people do, okay, in terms of having an emergency fund on hand. Okay. So have fun with that. It should be interesting to see what the numbers come out to be. And I'll talk to you soon.